Morning and welcome back to AM. It is great to have your company on a Tuesday morning. Unless you're in the capital and you're trying to get to work, 182 services are being cancelled every day because of a fault with one of KiwiRail's track cars that checks the track for safety. It means that in some cases 50% of trains that should be running aren't running. The Transport Minister's Michael Wood. He's with us live from Parliament this morning. Minister, good morning. Thank you for being with us. Can you tell us, because we're hearing about school kids who are being left on the platform and can't get to school, who would normally get on a train. What's your advice to parents this morning who are thinking about getting their kids to school on a train in Wellington?
Well, look, this is a very frustrating situation for those families. Obviously, for those parents, it's a case of looking at the options and trying to make a plan to make sure that you can get the kids to school in a way that's safe and appropriate. I recognise that that is a real burden on those families. I'm feeling hacked off on behalf of them and other commuters. That's why we're setting up this rapid review to get to the bottom of why this happened and make sure it doesn't happen again.
So your advice to them is either keep your kids at home or, if you can, drive them in.
It's to make a plan that best suits you and your family to make sure that they can get to school in a way that's safe.
Okay, fair enough.
And obviously that's up to families to sort out themselves.
Right. Yeah. Why do we need a rapid review? Why can't you just call in the CEO, the chair, as you have already, and ask them some simple questions? Why do you need a rapid review?
Well, that's something that we've done. I've spoken to both the Chief Executive and the Chief Operating Officer. The Minister for State-Owned Enterprises has spoken with the Chair. Our immediate focus has just been on getting this fixed as soon as possible, and that is happening through this week, so we're hoping to minimise the impact. But really, the reason we want to do this rapid review is to get someone independent in to really clarify exactly what happened, because there has been a dropping of the ball here that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, but can't you just
solid,
ask them some questions, some basic questions about what happened? Do you not believe their answers? Is that the problem?
Well, we have done that, but we want to be very, very clear on what happened. We want to be very clear that steps are being put in place. This is the most important part, so it doesn't happen again. But we also want to do effectively some robust and appropriate checking that within the organisation there is the appropriate focus on customer service, because ultimately that is what this is about. KiwiRail provides the infrastructure that these services work upon, and something's gone wrong with their management of that infrastructure, which has had this impact. We need to make sure that beyond this individual incident, that they are sufficiently focused and have the right systems in place to make sure these systems run well for the public.
Minister, it sounds to me like you actually don't trust what they're telling you, do you?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. I would say that I'm feeling a high level of frustration and a degree of anger about this situation.
Can you?
Because our government is investing huge amounts in public transport. The public want more and better public transport, but if it's not reliable, that undermines it. So we've got to get this right.
Good point.
That's why we're taking this seriously.
What date were you first made aware of mechanical issues with this EM80, this track safety car?
I was first made available on Thursday evening.
Thursday evening, okay. That's the same time that Metlink in Greater Wellington was made available. The public first made available on Friday of last week. And yet, the head of operations for KiwiRail said yesterday that they had been having mechanical issues with this for weeks. So why weren't we told? Did you ask the CEO that, and what did he tell you?
Well, that's one of the things that we will be working through in this process, is we need to make sure that as a part of the management of these assets, that there's really clear communication to everyone about what is happening. The rapid review will get to the bottom of that so that we can get clear answers there. But I need to be clear about one thing as well, which is that the clear advice from the company is that this wasn't just a mechanical issue. As much as anything, it was a scheduling and rostering issue. And those are things that are obviously well within the control of the company. So that's what we need to get to the bottom of. Why weren't those things managed appropriately to get this job done and to not have this impact?
Okay, so they put out a press release on the 28th of April, last Friday rather, saying that it was mechanical related. You're now saying that that's not the case.
There has been a mechanical issue with the track inspection unit, but my understanding and the advice I have is that actually what has mainly driven the fact that this job wasn't done at the right time in Wellington was a scheduling and rostering issue. So effectively there's been a dropping of the ball within the organisation around that, and that's why the review is important, because that speaks to the systems not working appropriately and not being sufficiently focused.
Right, so
that's what we need to fix.
So hundreds of thousands of people are not getting to school and to work on time because someone stuffed up the rosters.
Look, broadly speaking, my advice is that those issues around rostering and scheduling are the main issues that we're dealing with here, complicated by some mechanical issues. But it's important to note this vehicle's been operating for 41 years. We haven't had one of these issues before, so something in terms of the scheduling and rostering here just hasn't worked out right. And as I say, that's why we've said, get this review in. It'll be done within a month and clear recommendations will come back. So it's not going to drag on. We'll get the answers and we'll make sure there are changes.
With these pesky protesters who are blocking the roads, are you now considering, or will you now consider, legal changes to make sure that they don't go straight back out on the street and do the same thing again the next day?
Well, one thing I have noted is that the court, who had a number of these people in front of them yesterday, has made that very point to the protesters, that if they start seeing breaches of bail conditions, that the court will likely take firmer action. So there is the ability there for the court to manage that situation so people just aren't recycling out. That is obviously not a tolerable situation. We want to make sure that this action stops, and I'm pleased to, well, I can't tell the court what to do. I'm pleased to see that they are sending a firm message.
Yeah, but that's sending a message. We had the same conversation in October last year. People are at their wits' end. Someone's going to get hurt. People are driving around the protesters now. And you're saying, oh, well, the courts will sort it out. Clearly they're not, Minister, because here we are for the second round of this and we're 3 weeks into it.
It's an enormously difficult and frustrating situation.
So fix it.
We want these events to stop, but ultimately, police and the courts have to do the enforcement of the law in these cases. That
but you can change the law.
Politicians can direct.
Well, you can change the law, can't you?
We have a very firm law that is in place here called endangering transport that some of these people have been charged with, which actually carries a maximum possible sentence of up to 14 years in jail. So there's no lack of strength in the law that is being applied. The courts ultimately have to apply the law in respect of what happens after people appear before the court. That is not something that any politician can interfere with, no matter what they say. But I am seeing the courts are taking a firmer line there, which is good.
Very quickly, one last question. This is about the clean car discount. You've made some changes to the proposal, which we have canvassed in our news bulletins. But I just had one question. How much is the increase on the gas guzzlers, the utes, as part of this change, the so-called ute tax? How much will that increase by? Do you know?
Well, the maximum charge on the most polluting vehicles increases from around about $5,000 to around about $6,900. So there are a range of changes within the scheme. There's a slight reduction in the discounts that are available, a slight increase in that fee, and a change to the levels at which some of them apply. Overall, that'll still mean that cleaner vehicles get a good discount. We encourage that shift, but it'll make the scheme more fiscally sustainable.
Transport Minister Michael Wood, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. 23 after 6.